How often do you wear jewellery? Why not?
I don't wear jewellery on a daily basis, but I do put on a few pieces for special occasions like weddings, formal events, or cultural celebrations. I prefer minimalist accessories, maybe a simple necklace or a pair of elegant earrings, because they add a touch of sophistication without being too flashy. I think jewellery can be a great way to express personal style, but since I lead a fairly active and casual lifestyle, I usually skip it for practical reasons.
What type of jewellery do you like best? Why not?
If I had to choose, I'd say I'm most drawn to simple, elegant pieces like silver rings or delicate necklaces. I've never been a fan of overly ornate or chunky jewellery. I feel like it can overpower an outfit rather than complement it. What I appreciate about minimalist jewellery is that it's versatile. I can wear it with casual clothes or something more formal and still look put together. It also feels more timeless, unlike trendy items that go out of style quickly.
When do people like to give jewellery in your country? Why?
In my country, people often give jewellery as gifts on special occasions such as weddings, engagements, and milestone birthdays. For example, it's common for parents to give gold jewellery to their children during their wedding ceremony, as a symbol of good luck, prosperity, and family blessing. Jewellery is also a popular gift during the Lunar New Year, especially gold items, because they're believed to bring wealth and success. These traditions reflect not only cultural values, but also the sentimental and financial significance attached to jewellery in Vietnamese society.
Have you ever given jewellery to someone as a gift? Why not?
Yes, I have. A couple of years ago, I gave my best friend a silver bracelet for her birthday. I wanted to give her something meaningful and lasting, and jewellery felt like the perfect choice. The bracelet had a small charm with her birthstone, which made it more personal and thoughtful. I think giving jewellery can be a lovely way to show someone how much they mean to you. It's not just decorative, but also symbolic.
Describe an interesting TV program you watched about a science topic. You should say what science topic this TV program was about. When you saw this TV program, what you learnt from this TV program about a science topic, and explain why you found this TV program interesting.
One science-related TV program that really caught my attention was a documentary called Cosmos, A Space-Time Odyssey, which is hosted by Neil deGrasse Tyson. It explores a wide range of topics in physics, astronomy, and the history of scientific discovery. I watched it during the summer holidays last year, when I had more free time to explore educational content online. One particular episode focused on the concept of the multiverse, the idea that there might be multiple or even infinite universes beyond our own. It explained complex theories like quantum mechanics and cosmic inflation in a way that was surprisingly accessible, even for someone like me who doesn't have a strong background in science. What fascinated me the most was how the program combined scientific facts with stunning visual effects and storytelling to make abstract concepts feel almost tangible. I found this program incredibly interesting because it didn't just present dry information, it sparked my curiosity about the universe and made me think about humanity's place within it. It also helped me appreciate the role of science in answering big questions about existence and reality. After watching it, I even started reading more about astrophysics in my spare time, which is something I never thought I'd do.
How interested are most people in your country in science?
I'd say the level of interest in science among people in my country varies quite a bit depending on age and background. Students, especially in high school and university, tend to be more engaged, partly because science subjects like math, physics, and biology are a core part of the national curriculum and are often required for entrance exams. However, outside of an academic context, the general public doesn't seem to follow scientific developments very actively unless it's related to health, technology, or something that directly affects their daily lives, like during the COVID-19 pandemic, when people became much more curious about vaccines and medical research. That said, I've noticed a growing interest in science in recent years, thanks to social media and documentaries that make complex topics more relatable. Pages and YouTube channels run by Vietnamese science communicators are helping to bridge the gap between experts and the public, which is a promising trend.
Why do you think children today might be better at science than their parents?
I believe children today are often better at science than their parents for several reasons. First of all, they have access to far more resources both online and offline than previous generations ever did. With educational platforms, YouTube channels, and interactive apps, science is now presented in a more engaging and visual way, which helps young learners grasp complex concepts more easily. Another reason is that modern education tends to focus more on critical thinking and hands-on experiments, rather than just rote memorization. This allows students to actually understand how scientific principles work in real life. In contrast, their parents might have learned science in a more theoretical or outdated manner, which limited their ability to apply that knowledge. Also, children today are growing up in a world where science and technology are central to everyday life, so they're naturally more exposed to scientific thinking from a young age. Whether it's using smartphones, watching space missions, or hearing about climate change, they're constantly surrounded by science-related content which their parents didn't experience to the same extent.
How do you suggest the public can learn more about scientific developments?
I think one effective way for the public to stay informed about scientific developments is through accessible media, like documentaries, podcasts, and YouTube channels that break down complex topics into simple, engaging content. These platforms make science more relatable and less intimidating, especially for people without a technical background. Another useful approach is for schools and universities to organize public lectures or science fairs that are open to the wider community. This creates opportunities for people of all ages to interact with scientists and learn through hands-on experiences. Lastly, governments and media outlets should also play a role by promoting trustworthy science journalism and combating misinformation. When scientific news is communicated clearly and accurately, it helps build public trust and encourages lifelong learning.
What do you think are the most important scientific discoveries in the last 100 years?
There have been countless groundbreaking discoveries over the past century, but a few stand out in terms of their global impact. One of the most important is the discovery of antibiotics, especially penicillin, which revolutionized modern medicine and has saved millions of lives by treating bacterial infections that were once deadly. Another major milestone is the development of the Internet, which is rooted in computer science and engineering. It has completely transformed how we communicate, learn, and access information, making science and education more widely available than ever before. More recently, advances in genetics such as the mapping of the human genome have opened up new possibilities in personalized medicine and disease prevention. These discoveries not only improve quality of life, but also raise important ethical questions, which make them even more significant.
Do you agree or disagree that there are no more major scientific discoveries left to make?
I strongly disagree with the idea that there are no more major scientific discoveries left to make. In fact, the more we learn, the more questions seem to arise. There are still vast areas of science that remain largely unexplored, such as deep space, the deep ocean, and the human brain. For example, we still don't fully understand consciousness or how to cure many complex diseases like Alzheimer's or cancer. Moreover, emerging fields like artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and synthetic biology are constantly evolving, and they hold enormous potential for groundbreaking discoveries in the near future. Scientific progress is not a finite journey, it's a continuous process of questioning, testing, and redefining what we know. So in my view, the frontier of science is far from closed. We've only scratched the surface.
Who should pay for scientific research? Governments or private companies?
I believe that both governments and private companies should share the responsibility for funding scientific research, but each has a distinct role to play. Governments should bear a significant portion of the cost because scientific research often benefits society as a whole. For example, studies related to climate change, public health, or basic scientific principles typically require long-term funding that private companies might not be willing to invest in, since the immediate financial returns can be uncertain. Moreover, government-funded research can be more impartial and focused on the public good rather than profit. On the other hand, private companies can also play a crucial role in scientific innovation, especially in applied research and development (R&D) that leads to new technologies or products. They are often more agile and can bring new discoveries to market faster, which can drive economic growth and create jobs. However, I think private companies should be encouraged to collaborate with public institutions to ensure that their research benefits society as a whole, rather than just their own bottom line. In conclusion, a balance between public and private funding is essential to ensure that scientific research is both innovative and accessible to everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us in today's interview. Wishing you good health and the best of luck.
Thank you very much, madam. I also wish good health and the best of luck in life.